Welcome to Vitamin B with Mohana. This is where we help you take control of your well-being. I'm deeply humbled to have my guest today, Advocate Jayna Kothari. Advocate Jayna joins me to talk about a persistent issues familiar in cities like Bangalore all over India. She walks us through the citizenship rights that we have to protect our land, home, neighborhood from violations and illegal encroachments. Heard about it? Sounds familiar? I suppose yes. Advocate Jayna ultimately assures us the law does work for us
in India and make justice accessible to people who really needed it.
You have buildings which are seen right next door, and a lot of laws are not being followed as well.
Legal careers are only counted in decades.
So I think India is certainly, if I can say that, we are also a little ahead of the world, the rest of the world, right? Yeah, that's great.
Please take efforts to stop it.
Sure.
You can also send, a representation to the person who's committing that violation.
It works, right? The legal system works. So why should we be hopeful of that?
You can see this example itself, right? That it's taken time, but we've managed to get so much work done.
But what stops us typically then?
The other residents were fighting it to ensure that their neighborhood has the lung space. It's hopeful for us as lawyers. Our work results in actual, positive action on the ground. Over the last few years, we've seen great changes on gender equality. We've had some really big judgments from the Supreme Court.
Just the space of misconceptions, right? Because there's a lot of perception. Typically, you want to stay out of trouble. You don't want to get yourself in anything to do with the law or police.
You first know clearly what that violation is by seeing either the legal documents or the public documents, the approvals.
So much like a doctor is a lawyer, right? Who handholds you through, enabling justice.
A good lawyer would naturally advise you on your case, whether you have a legal case or not.
So join me to understand the issue, to understand how you can empower yourself with information that can ultimately help you in case you encounter this situation at all. So sit back and relax and join me at Vitamin B with me, Mohana. I'll see you there. Hi Jayna, it's wonderful to have you on Vitamin B with Mohana. It's such a unique podcast and it's our pleasure, and I'm so humbled to have you here with us.
Thank you, Mohana. Thank you for inviting me.
Great. How are you feeling today?
All good and looking forward.
We're going to talk about a very important topic that's impacting so many lives around us, right? But before that, I want to take the opportunity, Jayna, because you've been in the space of actually creating such transformation in the landscape of law for our country. So thank you so much for doing that. But what's going on there? What are the one or two important things in that space that's happening in the country itself?
I mean, if we just see very broadly, what are the legal transformations going on in India today? Over the last few years, we've seen great changes on gender equality. We've had some really big judgments from the Supreme Court on gender equality, on recognition of LGBTQ rights, on trans rights. So this really, the law is really changing to recognize rights, especially for vulnerable groups. And so that's a very positive development.
Yeah, it certainly is. And especially in the cities, people are more cognizant of how they are talking to one another, how they're treating each other as well. So I think India is certainly, if I can say that, we are also a little ahead of the world, the rest of the world, right? Yeah, that's great. And Jayna, you've had such an exciting, amazing career, right? Tell us, how did you get to where you are? There's so many people who are going to listen to us, right, through this medium. What should they know about creating an interesting, incredible, impactful career from you?
I mean, I never planned my career. All I knew is that once I finished my studies, I knew that I wanted to litigate. And I wanted to litigate in India and make justice accessible to people who really needed it. And that really was my only focus. And I think as I started my practice, I naturally aligned with issues that interested me. These were issues around human rights. These were issues around social justice. And along with a wide range of legal work that I was doing, since I was interested in these areas, I took up some of these cases. And as you often find that once you start showing interest in something, that work finds you as well. Right? And more of that work came my way. I got the opportunity to take up a wide range of issues, which not only interested me a lot, but it also gave me the opportunity to learn about different rights-based issues, to sharpen my work in that area, and therefore, quite naturally, I kind of started working on constitutional rights, on gender, on citizens' rights, on environmental law. So therefore, I've been lucky enough to have this wide range of work.
And I'm sure it's a lot of hard work, right? Because where I have sort of the lens that I come in is to see how work itself is changing, the nature of work is changing, the expectation from workforce towards work is changing, where there's a lot of short-term thought process as well. So careers are built over a really long time, and it takes, I guess, consistent hard work as well, right? Any views on that?
I mean, legal careers are only counted in decades. I mean, it takes you as a lawyer, as a counsel, to even get some standing in court at least 15 years. So like any career which takes time, I think the legal career is particularly long term. I mean, you have to be around for 20 years, at least 15 to 20 years, to really make an impact.
No, that's beautifully said. And thank you for sharing your personal experience as well, right? So what got you to what we want to talk about today, right? The reason that we are here today is when I look back, when I was born in Bangalore. I was raised in Bangalore. It's a very, very close, city to my heart. Though I left and lived elsewhere, I always felt like coming back here. But it really is with a lot of sense of like heartache that I share, that the infrastructure of the city has sort of crumbled, as we all know. Everybody talks about it. Yet the city has a lot of hope and resilience also, right? So one of at the same time, what has also happened is that it's creeped up, that there's a lot of deviations, there are a lot of urbanization that has happened. You have buildings which are seen right next door, and a lot of laws are not being followed as well, Jayna. And I think we'll spend some time in this space. But the existential question is, why is it continuing to happen? It has happened for a few decades now, if I'm correct, and it's getting worse. So why is this going on around us?
We see this kind of, violations, illegal constructions, illegal activities, especially in the urban areas, not just in Bangalore, but in many other big cities. And so we see that in Bangalore as well. And there are many reasons for it happening. One of the biggest reasons is that when there are violations, authorities don't take action. And therefore, it emboldens violators and it emboldens others as well to commit more violations, because they see that there's no action taken and they can get away with it. It also, our civic systems also aren't working very effectively. If they were working effectively, there would be strict action taken, strict measures taken against violations that take place, which would thereafter deter others from committing violations. But we don't have such a strong system. And if we want to have such a system that is accountable to people, I think people need to be involved. Citizens, communities need to be involved, because only then are officials going to be accountable to us, right? So it's it's both ways.
Yeah, fair enough. But so if we just take a step back, right? Are we saying more citizens need to be participating more? But what stops us typically then?
Yes, citizens need to participate more if you want your neighborhood, your community, your street to be livable, to be compliant with all the guidelines and norms. And what often stops us is that sometimes people don't know what is legal and illegal. You may see some activity going on and you're not sure whether that activity is in violation of the law or not. B, even if you do know that it's in violation, you don't have the time and energy to actually do something about it. You may not like it. You may feel it is encroaching, or it is disturbing the environment, or it is creating a nuisance, but you're like, I don't have the time and effort, energy to actually file a complaint or file a case or do something about it. C, sometimes you do take action and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
So then you take a little bit of action, you do a little, you take a few steps against it, and then nothing happens, and then you kind of give up.
Yeah.
Because then you don't know what else to do. And then you don't pursue it. And so these are some of the common reasons I think that people kind of don't come forward, or even if they do come forward, they don't go all the way.
Yeah.
And then whatever is that illegal action, that kind of either continues, or you just don't know what to do next.
And that's true probably of all types of cases. It's not just about a violation of my next door neighbor who's done something to my property, right? And a lot of reflection in terms of just how we can come forward, we can actually empower ourselves is really required, right? So Mr. Raj, was sharing with me that coincidentally, there are 3 or 4 problems that they've sorted out, or they're trying to sort out over the last decade in one street, right? Just look at the situation of a single citizen who's trying to really transform the street. So what attracted you to the case that, he brought to you as well?
Yeah. So many of these cases on that street in Indiranagar, Raj and some of the other residents groups and residents had come to me with many different issues of a parkland not being maintained as a park, then also building violations. I'm a citizen of Bangalore, I'm a citizen of Indiranagar, I'm a resident of Indiranagar, and of course, I know Raj well, and also when these issues came up, for me it was, he asked if I could assist and be their counsel, and for me it was a very natural progression into my work. I had taken up many other cases of violations of urban regulations. This was also a situation where it was not as if this was a personal case. It was not as if Raj was fighting it as a personal property case. It was really a case where he and the other residents were fighting it to ensure that their neighborhood has the lung space. The neighborhood has a green space. They were working towards ensuring that the park is there for the residents around, for the children, for the elderly, and for all the other residents to use as a lung space. And so that was really the larger motivation.
Sure. So that to help others, right? And does that become an important aspect when you're trying to sort of take a case, understand the sort of elements or the nature of a specific case of this kind, where there's a violation or there's an encroachment in your property or land or next door park? Does it have to have an element of impacting your society as well and others as well?
Well, it doesn't always have to have that aspect. If you're taking a situation, for example, like in this case, there was a site where we were trying to say that this should be maintained as a park, as a green space, as a lung space, because what it was allotted for was not being utilized. The rules were being violated, and there was also in this case, there was also a commitment from the BBMP that any new land that they would have available, they would make it available as green lung space. And Indiranagar today needs that green space, and therefore this had a larger public interest, and that changes the color of the case. It also in the court, we were very strongly able to say that we don't have a personal interest. Nobody is fighting to get allotment to that land. We just want to ensure that it becomes available as a park for everyone. In some situations, there could be violations that directly affect a neighbor, right? Supposing there's a violation of a building next to your building, where they have not left setbacks, and therefore it impinges into your light and air. It does not have a public impact, but it has a direct impact on the neighbor. where the setbacks are violated, or a floor is constructed without approval. Of course, it's a violation of the municipal corporation's bylaws, but it also has a direct impact to the next door neighbor, and the adjacent owner can actually say that this is affecting my light and air and my residence. And can also take up such a case.
And ultimately, I think authenticity of the case matters a lot. Giving the right information, something that's truly existent rather than fabricating. Does the legal system see a lot of, is the right word called malified cases? Or,
yes. Okay. Of course, whatever case you take up, if there's a hidden agenda, sometimes there are hidden agendas by a party who actually wants to go to court, that will come out, that will become evident, and the courts do catch that. So whatever your motive may be, if your motive, it can be a private motive, like the example I gave you of a neighbor who is affected by their neighbor's violations, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a legitimate legal claim, or there can be a public interest. But if there is any other hidden motive, that does come out. So therefore, it's very clear, very important that the case is built very clearly on what the claim is. Because if there is something else, it will come out in a negative way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very important point, Jayna. So when you look at the fabric of Bangalore, there are a lot of moving crowd, right? People are coming from everywhere. They have a lot of hope. They actually invest. Many of them stay back here. They've bought apartments, buildings, and then they face all of these issues, right? And for those who live here, right, from the beginning, who born, brought up here, they also can actually stumble upon all of these concerns as well. If I have a situation of this kind, what are the right legal steps I should be taking, or what are the steps I should be taking as a common citizen who probably is fearful, perceive the law to be very strained, long processes? I don't know if I believe in it. These are the sentiments, people really genuinely have on a daily basis. But what is that demystification that we need to extend to them? What steps can we actually help them take?
I mean, the first step is, I'm just giving you just some basic steps. Either if you're buying a property or already in a property, and then you discover something happening, the first thing is you need to have proper legal documentation of your property, so that of the legal status and all the approvals, permissions that are there, so that you are well equipped to take steps if required. Then, supposing there is some violation, I'm talking again in the context of violations in our urban areas, right? These are the issues we're addressing. If there is a violation which is causing you difficulty either as a direct neighbor or in your neighborhood, on a public property or something, then you should ensure that you first know clearly what that violation is by seeing either the legal documents or the public documents, the approvals, and getting some idea of the BBMP regulations. Most of these regulations are available online. So, and zonal regulations or other, master plan data is not very difficult to understand, what is permitted in a particular land or what is not. So you should try and first understand whether it's legal or not. If you do find out that the activity is illegal or is in violation of the rules, the first step to take would be to make a representation to the authority saying that this is what is being done, this is in violation, please take efforts to stop it. You can also send a representation to the person who's committing that violation, and thereafter, if after following up, I think a person should also follow up with the authorities, so with the BBMP, saying is the step that they are thinking of, the representation they've made, is it correct legally? Sometimes you may not know the regulations very well, and maybe the BBMP may say, no, this actually we have given approval. Or if you're not sure whether an approval is given or not, you can always make an RTI application, a right to information application, where you say, okay, give me the plan.
Yeah.
Give me a copy of the plan, or give me the copy of the approval that has been given. And under the Right to Information Act, you should get that response in 30 days.
Okay.
And then so you have that material. And then even after all these, steps that you've taken with the authorities, with your letters and representations, if nothing happens, then of course you can decide whether you want to go to court. But before doing that, you must consult with a lawyer to know whether you do actually have a claim that can be taken to court or not. And if it can be taken, if your lawyer advises you, and if you wish to do that, you can then do that.
Yeah. So much like a doctor is a lawyer, right? Who handholds you through, enabling justice. What are the typical characteristics of a good lawyer, a trustworthy lawyer, that people should be sort of cognizant about?
I mean, things that you should look out for. One of the basic things that a lawyer who's a good lawyer would naturally advise you on your case, whether you have a legal case or not. If you do have a legal case, then the lawyer would perhaps advise you initially, if you've not taken those initial steps to send a representation or to send a notice, the lawyer would probably advise you to do that and assist you with that, so that you do all the initial documentation. If you don't have enough papers or material, the lawyer would probably advise you to get those, and advise you how to get those materials and documents. And then if there's a case and you do have a legal claim, the lawyer would advise you on that. What the lawyer would advise you on, what is a likely remedy you can get from court and what you can't. Often clients may have all kinds of fancy demands. No, I want this to happen. You can't get every remedy from court, right? The remedy has to be based on your legal claim, what is possible for courts to grant, what is not possible. And sometimes, in enthusiasm, sometimes lawyers do promise clients, no, we'll get you all of this. So I think that it's often better when, as a counsel, I'm cautious about advising clients what is possible, what is not. So that we are cautious in approaching the courts, and therefore frame our case accordingly.
Sure. I think that's really, really helpful, because there's a lot of skepticism. People are a little fearful. So these are the things that can actually help them sort of hone an understanding of how they can take good steps, the right steps to move forward as well. One of the things that I wanted to ask you and take your guidance on is just the space of misconceptions, right? Because there's a lot of perception. Typically, you want to stay out of trouble. You don't want to get yourself in anything to do with the law or police. That's a common citizen sentiment. Let's say I have a case. I have my neighbor violating, or let's say I park, I want to save the park, right? And I have taken all the right measures, but it's in court now. The legal trials are going on. So what misconceptions or understanding, real understanding I should have of the way I should be involved in a case as well?
Yeah. So one of the things we always tell clients when they take up the case, or they, especially when they take up cases which are in public interest or for a larger community, because these are some of the issues we're trying to, discuss today, is that you don't have to be too fearful or worried about going to court. Some of the things people think about, if I file a case, if I want to protect a park near my house, I'm daunted because, does it mean I have to go to court every time? Will I have to miss work? Suddenly I'll be asked to come to court. Will I have to come to court on every day? Will I have to stand in the witness box? Those are the things. But in a lot of cases, especially those which you file for protection of, civic plots or civic land, or against encroachment, which are in the High Court, your presence is not necessarily required. You can come there if you want to, see what's happening. Now you can, it's in many courts, it's also available through online hearings, which you can also, join in. But being in court for a party is not required. So therefore, you don't have to be worried about that. You will not be called or asked to come to court and give a statement. But what you do need to do is that if you decide to file a case or file a petition on any issue, you do have to give it the time and effort and energy that the case requires, which means that you have to give all the information to your lawyer, what your lawyer may require. Your lawyer may require time with you to meet them and to, discuss and clarify all their doubts. You may be required to obtain documents, photographs, information. Sometimes we don't know who that party is. So the lawyer may say, get the address of that party, things like that. Get us latest photographs of what's happening on that land. Is there construction going on? Where are these documents? So you may have to do all that. You may have to run around to a few authorities to file your complaints or letters before going to court. So you have to be ready to give it the time and energy that any venture requires. And then the rest of it, of course, the lawyers can handle.
It. Yeah. Okay. I think this is very crucial because a lot of population here, particularly in the city, is a working population, and they struggle to sort of balance it, right? And it's demanding jobs. So I think this gives like a lot of support to them to actually not be so fearful and come forward and then fight what needs to be fought for. So I also want to sort of conclude by asking, right, you have handled so many cases, so many incredible cases which seem very complex, right? And Raj has told me that he himself has been, a grassroots citizen leader who's actually, brought down bars to actually saving parks, to saving an old tree. I mean, as we sit here, Bangalore is a city full of trees, right? You look up and probably not down because our roads are so bad. But really it works, right? The legal system works. So why should we be hopeful of that?
You can see this example itself, right? That, of course, it's taken time. It's not instant. It's taken time, but we've managed with so much, we've managed to get so much work done. At least over the last 20 years, or it's been, I think, close to 25 years that we've managed to save a really huge park in Indranagar, which has been such a huge lung space for that neighborhood. We've managed, he's managed really to ensure that in a residential area, there aren't, violations which were going on, which were really creating difficulties for residents, and of course, protection of trees. And if a citizen like him can do it, it is really a cause for hope. It's, of course, he's put in a lot of effort and energy and time behind it, but it's hopeful because we see that our courts are working. It's hopeful for us as lawyers. Our work results in actual, positive action on the ground. You see things happening for the better. You see that our courts and our legal institutions are contributing to citizens' lives, and that's what they were there for. And it's up to us to make them work in this way and to use them, right?
No, that's so beautiful. And I really hope, listening to our conversation, people are braver, more courageous, and really adopt the sense of justice in their own lives and not give up, because there are problems. And I really like what you said, that each one of us actually can be a change agent to transform our own surroundings, to start with a street, as we've been talking. So thank you for spending time with me, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you and learn so much from you.
Thank you, Mohana. Thanks.